Aloha everyone. So if you follow my channel, you probably already saw my most recent drone tour of Lahaina. So you already know what the town currently looks like from the air. Now, since I recorded that last video, there have been a few areas that have been opened up to local traffic only. In this video, I'm going to take you on a driving tour through Lahaina so you can see what the town looks like for yourself from the ground. Let's go take a look.
Just like my drone tours, we're going to start on the far south end of Lahaina town on the Hoonanea Highway right next to Puamana. There won't be any fancy camera work in this video. We're just going to point the camera straight ahead and drive. The Puamana condo community is on the left, and we're coming up on the far south end of Front Street. So we're going to turn off the highway so we can take a look at what the Puamana side of Front Street looks like from the ground. We're about to pass the entrance into the Puamana community on the left-hand side now. We're going to cover a lot of ground in this video, starting with this southern portion of Front Street up to the checkpoint in Lahaina Shores. From there, we're going to jump back to the highway and drive all the way through the middle of Lahaina town. We're going to head up into the Wahikuli neighborhood before circling back to the northern part of Front Street, where we'll see Mala Wharf, Baby Beach, and Kahoma Village. We'll see condo communities Opukea and Hoonanea before finishing up in the Lahainaluna Neighborhood. It's a lot of area to cover, and it's going to be a long video, so I'll provide timestamps in the description below in case you want to jump to any areas that are of most interest to you. The cleanup of ash and debris in residential neighborhoods is 100% complete now, which is why more areas of Lahaina town are being opened up. However, we do ask that these areas are accessed by local traffic only. The main reason I do these videos is to keep awareness of Lahaina's recovery efforts and encourage people to do whatever they can to help. But it's also helpful for people to see these areas with their own eyes through video so they don't feel the need to access them themselves. I've also received a lot of comments and emails from former residents who have temporarily relocated that appreciate the updates to see the progress for themselves. As long as people find these videos helpful, I'll continue to make them. I appreciate everyone's support. We're now coming up on the Lahaina Shores condominium complex on the left-hand side, which is as far as we'll go. Straight ahead is where the commercial portion of Front Street starts, and cleanup crews are still working on clearing the ash and debris from these areas. However, according to the Army Corps of Engineers, they are now 90% complete with the clearing of all the commercial areas in Lahaina town. So even though we won't see it in this video, good progress is being made. Okay, now we're going to jump back to the highway in the same location that we turned off onto Front Street earlier and drive all the way through the middle of Lahaina town. The Hoonanea Highway has now been open for several months, and it has definitely helped to reduce some of the traffic issues that we were experiencing when you could only access Lahaina and towns like Kaanapali through Kapalua by using the bypass road. This video was actually recorded on November 5th, which of course was election day, so the roads might be a little less busy than a typical weekday. So we're going to be coming up on the intersection at Shaw Street, and just past that, on the right-hand side, you're going to see the Lahaina Aquatic Center. The Aquatic Center was just reopened last month on October 11th. Speaking of Election Day, one of the recent controversies on Maui was the long waiting lines to place your votes in person. They did have an in-person voting location in Lahaina, but the only other location that served most of the island was at the community center in Wailuku, and many people that waited to the last day to place their vote had to wait in line for several hours. From here, you can see the old Pioneer Mill smokestack off in the distance, and we're coming up on the intersection at Dickinson Street. The next intersection we're approaching is Lahainaluna Road. Driving through town like this can be disorienting if you're used to seeing certain buildings. On the left side of the screen is where the Lahaina Square Shopping Center was, and we're coming up on the intersection of Papala'ua, which is where First Hawaiian Bank was. Coming up on the right, you'll see the old sugarcane train station with the train still there, and just past that is the intersection where Maui Mike's Beach House was and the Taco Bell / Pizza Hut building. The buildings on the right are the Opukea at Lahaina condominium complex. On the left-hand side is Kahoma Village. We're actually going to come back and see more of both Kahoma Village and Opukea at Lahaina later in the video. The next intersection we're approaching is Keawe Street, which connects the Honoapi'ilani Highway to the Lahaina Bypass. On the left is the Cannery Mall, and on the right side is the Gateway Center. Of course, both of those shopping centers have been open for a long time now. From here, we're going to turn off of the highway and head up into the Wahikuli neighborhood. Now, the Wahikuli neighborhood is an area that we're going to start to see more homes being rebuilt. And to give you an idea of how we're progressing with the residential rebuild, let's talk a little bit about the building permit stats. According to the Maui Recovers website, there have been 223 properties that have already submitted for building permits. And out of those 223, 112 have had their building permits approved and issued. Now, when you consider that there were 1,364 properties that had their ash and debris removed, that means that around 16.3% of the properties that we lost have submitted for building permits, and about 8.2% have already been approved. That being said, the website also says that only one property has completed construction, so we still have a long ways to go. We're actually going to drive right past one of the homes that's already under construction, coming up on the right. The intersection we're coming up on now with road construction is Fleming Road. Now, I'm still getting a lot of people asking, what is the best way to help Lahaina recover? And for those people who have the means and desire to help Lahaina rebuild, I still think that Habitat for Humanity is a great charity to offer donations. Habitat for Humanity Maui is currently helping underserved families rebuild their homes. And it was recently reported that Jeff Bezos actually donated $3 million to the charity that will be used to expand Maui's affordable housing programs, repair and rebuild homes damaged by the wildfires, and increase access to home ownership for local families. Jeff's donation is one of the largest in the organization's history. It will definitely accelerate the building capacity for Habitat Maui, and in my opinion, it is much appreciated. However, Habitat for Humanity will still need more help, so only donate if you're able, but every little bit helps. I'll provide a link to Habitat for Humanity Maui's website in the description below. Okay, we're going to finish off our tour of Wahikuli by heading all the way to the top of the hill before circling back. I don't think I've mentioned it in any of my previous videos, but I actually used to live in Wahikuli myself. It was quite a while ago, over 10 years ago, but this here is actually the street that I lived on at that time. And the house that I lived in on this street is still standing. Coming up on the right is a greenhouse, and that's the house that I used to live in. It was a really large house, and I only rented one of the rooms at the time. I think it was called the House of Fountains. I really wasn't sure if it was still standing until now, so I am a bit surprised. Now, in all my time in Lahaina, I've actually lived in 4 different houses or condos, and 3 of them survived the fire. We're actually going to drive past the other 2 properties that survived later in the video. As we finish off our tour of Wahikuli, you're going to see one more home on the left-hand side that's well under construction. Okay, from here we're going to jump to the north end of Front Street, and this is an area that's actually been open to the public for quite some time. This stretch of Front Street holds restaurants like Coco Deck, Mala Tavern, Honu, Star Noodle, and Aloha Mixed Plate. All of them are open for business, so if you're in the area, make sure to come by and support the local economy. On the left is the backside of the Cannery Mall, and coming up shortly on the right-hand side is the old Lahaina Luau. We're now crossing over the Kahoma Stream. On the left-hand side is the Kahoma Village neighborhood, which is another neighborhood that I used to live in. And coming up on the right side is a landmark that most people would recognize, the Jesus Coming Soon sign. From here, we're going to turn off of Front Street and head over to see how the Mala boat ramp and wharf are looking. You'll see that the boat ramp is fairly busy, with several trucks that have dropped off their boats, and you'll also see a number of divers walking towards the beach. Of course, straight ahead here is the very beginning of Baby Beach. Now, I'm not really sure how long that grounded boat has been there. It's the first time that I've seen it. From here, we're going to head back to Front Street and then head over to the other end of Baby Beach to take a look at what that side of the neighborhood looks like now. Coming up on the left-hand side is one of the two entrances into the Kahoma Village neighborhood. Straight ahead is another checkpoint that's stopping traffic from going into the commercial area of Front Street, just like they were doing on the south side. And we're going to take a quick right here and drive past one of the beach access points to Baby Beach. Okay, crossing Front Street again. On the right-hand side is where the Front Street apartments used to be. And we're going to continue on up to the second entrance to Kahoma Village before driving through that neighborhood. This area of Kahoma Village is actually where my house is, the one that I was living in at the time of the fire. If you watched my previous videos, you already know that most of the homes in my neighborhood did survive the fire. That being said, on the left-hand side now is the area where we lost several of the townhome buildings. As you can see, a construction fence has recently gone up. This is, of course, a really good sign, as it does mean that we're getting very close to rebuilding the homes that we lost in this neighborhood. Another construction fence coming up on the left. This is where we lost another one of the townhome buildings. I would like to mention that there are a few homes for sale in this neighborhood right now. Now, in the past, I've avoided any discussions on real estate sales in Lahaina because emotions were still high after the fire. But I think it's time to allow people to move on. Some people who own property in Lahaina would like to move on to the next chapter in their life, and getting their properties sold is one of the next steps for them. I personally don't see anything wrong with that. So moving forward, real estate sales in Lahaina is something that we need to be able to talk about openly. And I will start to share links to property listings in Lahaina to help my clients move on if that's what they'd like to do. Okay, from here, we're going to jump back to the highway and take a look at another one of my old neighborhoods, Opukea at Lahaina and the Limahana area. This is the corner that held the Taco Bell and Pizza Hut building. Straight ahead is where Napa Auto Parts was, and right next to the building that's still standing is where the Mind's Eye Interior building was. Coming up on the left is where Choice Health Bar used to stand. And straight ahead is Opukea at Lahaina condominium complex. Just like Kahoma Village, this neighborhood had several buildings that survived, but unfortunately we did lose some to the fire as well. Now, as I had mentioned earlier, I did live in Opukea myself for several years. The last condo that I was in was C Building, and C Building did survive the fire. The building still standing on the left is G Building. Just past that is where F Building stood prior to the fire. Just like Kahoma Village, this community is also starting to see properties being listed for sale on the open market. The next building on the left is C Building. That's where I used to live. Okay, so that was our quick tour of Opukea at Lahaina condominium complex. From here, we're going to jump down the road just a couple blocks and go take a look at another community called Hoonanea. Now, just like Kahoma Village and Opukea that we toured previously, Hoonanea had some buildings that survived the fire and some that did not. Straight ahead, you can see Opukea on the other side of the Kahoma stream. And just like Kahoma Village and Opukea, Hoonanea is starting to see some of the townhomes that did survive the fire being listed for sale on the open market. Okay, from here, we're going to jump over to the Lahainaluna Neighborhood to finish the tour. We're going to start from the bypass exit onto Lahainaluna Road and head down the hill. Of course, you can see off in the distance, we're heading towards the old Pioneer Mill smokestack once again. As we approach the bottom of the hill, we're going to turn and head into the Lahainaluna neighborhood through some of the narrow, winding streets. We'll head back up the hill a ways before coming back down in the Kahoma Homes neighborhood. So this is the start of the Kahoma Homes neighborhood. From here, we're going to drive back down the hill a ways to check on the progress. Now, I will say that I did see a lot of construction activity in this neighborhood, which is always great to see. I know it can be hard to see our beloved town in this condition, but every time I drive through, I always see more and more progress. If you appreciate the time and effort it takes to make these video updates of Lahaina's rebuild, please hit the thumbs up button. Feel free to share this video with anyone else you know that loves Lahaina Town, and subscribe for more updates. By the way, it will be my intention to share more of the beautiful areas of Maui in future videos, so people can see that Maui is still and always will be a great place to come and visit. I hope to see you all in the next videos. Aloha.